there. Welcome back to Suspenders Unbuttoned Podcast. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Julie. And we're excited to welcome Russell Hainline. Welcome, Russell.
Hi everybody. Sarah, Julie, how you doing?
Good. It's fun to have you back for another 2 Christmas movies this year. So that is exciting. Yeah.
Who knew? It's exciting for sure.
Really exciting. And then another hit. We already know that Merry Christmas, Ted Cooper was a big hit. I mean, the talk going around all the social media is everything is very positive, and everybody really enjoyed that. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. I mean, you never know. You never know. So it's always very humbling when it happens. Absolutely.
Yeah. Why don't you tell us, Russell, how did you get involved in Merry Christmas, Ted Cooper? We do know that, Rob Buckley kind of came up with this concept. So how did the two of you connect and get it started?
Yeah, Rob came to me. I don't remember how he got to me, but I think he'd seen a couple of my other movies, or I brought the project, I believe, for that reason, and he had a page or two. He had the bones of the thing, and he said, "Look, I want to play this eternally optimistic weatherman who constantly has bad luck," and I said, "Stop drilling, Rob. You've struck oil." I just thought it was a great idea. I get presented ideas sometimes. People will bring me things, and I like writing my own stuff a lot of the time too. Despite the fact that this year I I am not, but
Right.
I do like working on ideas that I've had. But Rob's idea was so funny, and I saw such opportunity there. I really wanted to work with Rob. Rob had just worked with my buddy Amy the year before, so I really liked that. I liked some of his other stuff. So I thought, yeah, this is a great indicator that he knows what's funny about him. He knows, what works. He's very aware of his own talents and strengths, and he's created this great character to sort of play to those. And it was also a really cool opportunity that writers don't always get to write to the actor, right? To know, who the character is going to be played by, which makes it a lot easier. I can just say things that I think would be funny coming out of Rob's mouth. I can, torment him with bad luck, to the best of my abilities. So yeah, I agreed pretty quickly, and we talked some about what he wanted to do with it, and then I kind of went off, and from there you saw he was an executive producer on the project, so I would talk to him a lot about, here are things that I think would be really good for this. Here's directions we should take, and we'd have a nice back and forth, and then I went off and wrote the script. It was really cool. He's a nice guy. I mean, and he's easy to work with, very generous with his time. He's got, at least one young kid as well. I think he's got 2. I don't remember. Sorry, Rob. But because I'm also a new father, we got to bond over that. Yeah, he's swell. I enjoyed working with him a lot.
So I love that you start off with this idea and then you went off to write the script. When you add in the director, in this case it was Jason Bourque directed Merry Christmas, Ted Cooper. Then how do you start bringing that collaboration to bring the idea to screen?
Yeah, so Jason, the director comes on a little later. So honestly, I didn't get to work too much with Jason on it. By that time the script was done. But I like to tell people, writers write the recipe. We are the recipe writers, and then people go off into the kitchen and make the souffle, right? There's only so much of the recipe writer does about the souffle. At that point, you're really reliant on a really strong cast and crew to make the movie as good as it is and have it sort of match your vision for what it should be. So I'm very, very grateful that, for a lot of my Hallmark movies, I'd argue maybe for all of my Hallmark movies, I've had a really strong cast and crew. I've had a lot of good people in that kitchen who have, given me the opportunity to do some really cool things and have also made me look good in the process, right? Also, it's a give and take. I try to help make them look good and vice versa. It's a team. So I was very happy with all the great work that Jason and everybody on the crew did for this.
Yeah. I mean, it came together so nicely. You mentioned that it's kind of fun to write for a character when you know who will be playing it. In this case, it was
Totally.
Rob. Did you know that Kimberly would be involved to play Hope, or was that something you weren't part of?
No, but I wrote it for Kim.
Ah.
I've worked with her now a number of times. It seems like every project I do is just going to have Kim on it, which is great. I'm very happy with that. She's fantastic, and she's great to work with and so wonderful on screen. I just knew her sensibility. I wanted somebody who would contrast Rob, and Ted specifically's sensibility on screen. I was very familiar with Kim, obviously, and so I thought, boy, it would be really funny if it was Kim. So I kind of wrote it, and I think I told people too. I was like, we need a Kim-esque person. Like bare minimum, we need someone Kim-esque because that's what's going to work here. And but you never know who's available. I was thrilled when Kim told me. I don't even know that Kim knew that I wrote it. I think I'd have to go back and think about my conversation, but it very well may have been that she told me she's got this cool thing coming up, and then I was like, "That was me. I did that." I don't know. So yeah, I'm so happy. I mean, this is now my fourth movie in a row with working with her in some capacity. Third, fourth, now Wisest Men will be another. So yeah, she's great. I'm really, again, you want to talk about having great people in the kitchen, having Kim saying your dialogue just makes you shine, man. She's great.
Yeah, you have this wonderful balance in your leads, both with strengths and vulnerabilities. In this film, that's actually really a fun film. Is this something you think about when you're writing?
The banter, you mean? The back and forth? Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you want to have, I mean, this is why some of my things tend to be like enemies to lovers, right? You want to have characters who are different who could benefit from the difference of the other person, right? Like you want to see, I feel like in any good relationship, in the real world, right? Everybody has their own downfalls or faults or whatever, and hopefully you find a partner that can counterbalance those and lift those up, right? And can fill those gaps, so that as a team the two of you can proceed as strongly as possible. And so I think it's important in these movies to kind of show, hey, here are some ways in which people might struggle, and here you can kind of see the ways beyond just their banter and the fun character stuff. You want to see like, oh, here is why this person might benefit from, like how Ted might benefit from being held accountable by Hope, how Hope might benefit from sort of the sunny disposition of Ted. So I don't know that I think about the like banter necessarily. It kind of just, if you have really strong characters, it flows out. Rob was so clear in who Ted was, and we just ended up having a lot of conversations about who Hope needed to be and how they would sort of help one another through this journey. Right? So, and then the dialogue and banter, and then it just becomes how snappy and screwball can we be, right? Like which is a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun, and you're kind of known for that now, right? Just like the comedy and being able to pull off this type of comedy, but also really having all that warmth still. And we
Sure.
don't miss it because it's all tied in together so nicely. How do you balance that when you're writing out a story?
It's probably not balanced in the first draft, I'll tell you that. Yeah, I think if anything, I think I've said this before, maybe even on your show. I write first drafts that are way too long. I try to throw the kitchen sink in there, and then when you go back through, you trim the fat, right? So hopefully that leaves you with, as you're writing, you're trying to find things that balance the humor and the heart, right? You're trying to do the old axiom of familiar but different. You're trying to give the audience, sort of that beautiful Hallmark vibe that we're used to in these movies, while also pushing to the edges of the sandbox a little bit and saying, maybe this can be a Hallmark thing that gives you that warmth, gives you that comedy, but might also be a little different than one that you've seen before. So, yeah, I write way too much and then pare back, and I think maybe that.
It seems to be working for you.
You know, I think pushing the edges of the sandbox is great because Hallmark movies, especially Christmas movies, are really watched by entire families, multi-generational, and you need to hit like maybe a lot more different pieces in order to engage those people. This film has a lot of Easter eggs in it. Just some great references and things like that. Did you guys go make really want to put some of that type of stuff in the movie?
I I always like to do stuff like that. From my writing where I'll reference either people that I know or things that I really enjoy to I think that contemporary people have pop culture, sort of in their overall day-to-day conversation. I think it makes the characters feel more real to have them sort of joke about pop culture-y things from time to time. I don't want to make it something so niche that then when people watch it years and years later, they'll miss out. When you watch old Hollywood studio movies from like the 30s and 40s, your Ernst Lubitsch's, your Preston Sturges, your Howard Hawks, there'll be references to contemporary day-to-day stuff that doesn't really translate anymore, or there are references that but as long as you kind of get the idea, right? Like if you don't know who Mark Harmon is, the gag should still play, right? And then it's all better if you do know who Mark Harmon is. Right. So it's trying to find things like that, and obviously the costumes at the costume party. I wrote a lot of costumes into the script. I thought that was such a funny idea. We had as many references as I feel like legally we could get away with, right? I definitely push the limits on that, and then I leave it to production to make and lawyers and whomever else to make the smart decisions. But yeah, I love costume parties too in the real world. I love them. They're so fun. So yeah, I mean, I feel like as it pertains to Easter eggs or references to pop culture, that's just the sort of thing that enriches the world. I think of the movie. Maybe not the real world, but it definitely enriches the world of the movie, which hopefully then conveys to the real world a little bit.
No, it's a lot of fun as a viewer to see those kinds of things on screen in a movie because you walk into a costume party, that's how it's going to play out. Like it's going to look like that.
I was just going to say, I want more Christmas dress-up parties like that.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. I mean, that's why Halloween is so great.
Bring it to Christmas. Yeah.
I know. I feel like I'm always pushing people to do costume related things. I loved doing that when I was in college and I was the one throwing the parties. When you're an adult, it's a lot harder to be like, hey, here's a random holiday, go buy an expensive costume and go build up. They're like, I've got kids. I don't have time for this. But it's so fun when you get the opportunity, man. I love it. I wish I could have been on set that day just so I could have, just soaked it all in. I mean, it was really, really cool.
It would have been fun to have you in a costume in the background. Yeah.
Dressed as Hot Frosty? Yeah,
Hot
totally.
Frosty.
Yeah. Rob was kind of the Hot Frosty.
Yeah, we picked that one up.
And we all love a beautiful elf costume reference.
Oh my goodness, how funny was she in that costume, man?
She's
the first time I saw a picture of that, I thought it was so great. Yeah,
absolutely. I would have excessively sewn some over-the-top costume for your costume party in college.
Totally.
For sure.
Absolutely. Nothing more fun.
All right, so you mentioned wishing you were on set that day. Did you get to go to set at all?
Did. Yeah. It was great. I got to, see my buddies. I was there when Brendan was there. And Brendan worked on my first movie with Hallmark I ever did. So that was sort of a lovely full circle moment. I love getting to let Brendan be sort of smarmy and sarcastic and funny and maybe a bit of a jerk. I think he's so funny in that role. Doesn't always get to play it.
Right.
But
it's very fun. Yeah.
He's so funny. That last line that he has, "I'm going to sell my boat." I don't think I don't think that's me. I think that's Brendan. I think I don't know who on set might have come up with that day, but he's such a funny guy, and that mustache was all him too. I mean, how great was that mustache?
It was
Yeah. I saw it and I was like, oh
Very
boy, yes,
Anchorman.
here we
Yeah.
go. Yes. There were posters of them on the wall, like, how a news team has like the advertisements in the studio or whatever. There were posters of them, and when I saw Brendan, I was like,
Mhm.
yeah, this guy could be an Anchorman for sure.
Yeah.
It's
You know,
yeah, but it was a lot of fun. It was great.
the stash was perfect. It's a lot of fun. It gives that nod to Anchorman, but also like the stash is such a prominent thing in Hollywood and on our big screens right now. It just felt like the
Sure.
perfect time to drop one of those in a Christmas movie. Um, Speaking of that, when writing a Christmas movie, do you really think about how to bring the holiday pieces into each scene?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to. One of the notes that you always get is we need more Christmas. Like it. That's every single person who works on these movies knows that that's a bit of a running gag. I mean, like it's that you need to accentuate it because ultimately there's no such thing as having too much of it on the page. I'm sort of famously at this point in my scripts, I'll just write like at the beginning, this place is really decorated for Christmas, right? Because the production designers that Hallmark hires are so talented and so smart and so much better at coming up with things than I would be. So if I'll write down specific things about Christmassiness of a location, but generally speaking, I love to just like let them work. And again, they have not let me down yet in my career. They do such a phenomenal job. Uh, and then in terms of the actual activities and things, I mean, it's not just enough for a movie to be set around December 25th. You need to make sure that they're kind of talking about family because Christmas is very much a family holiday. Talking about some of the traditions because again, that's something that comes up a lot during the holidays. So I think that you have to think about those things some. So when you're doing a Christmas escape room or something that's fun and different, again, you want to make sure that they're talking about family and traditions and things, so that it's not just the Christmassiness of the activity, but also kind of the Christmassy vibe that goes with it, right? So yeah.
Yeah, that is
Right. You want to make it so it's not just a movie and where there's just Christmas decorations to make it Christmas. You want like the heart of it.
Yeah, you want a little of column A, a little of column B, right?
Right.
Absolutely.
the escape room. I don't know that we've seen an escape room in a Hallmark Christmas movie, but it's such a
Not like this.
contemporary thing that so many people do with their family, with their friends, with work parties. Like, it's something you can absolutely relate to. What made you write an escape room?
I love escape rooms. I do them a lot. They're a lot of fun. I'm a big puzzle guy. I love a puzzle. A lot of the specifics of the escape room again came down to the production team. I mean, I had some of those things written in, but in terms of the sheer vibe, that was definitely all them. I'm pretty sure like the jump scares were just them because they had the opportunity and they thought it would be, suitable to the environment they had. So again, it's about having a good team to make a thing come to life. I love escape rooms, and I thought it would be funny to have characters do one, and then obviously we knew Rob and I when we were talking about things that could go wrong, we knew we wanted to have Ted and Hope trapped somewhere, and so then it became a conversation of like, well, where could they get trapped? And we talked about a lot of things. I mean, it's a lot of fun just talking with Rob about ways to torture Rob. It's a lot of fun in that respect. So at some point along the lines, escape room came up, and I love an escape room. So I was delighted to spend time fleshing out what a Christmas escape room would look like.
Yeah.
It's a
And
fun.
it was
It's a fun
very
treat.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have a favorite scene to write? And did it end up being the same favorite scene you had while watching the finished project?
Right. I don't know. Especially because things change. There are things in the finished movie that are very much the way that I pictured them, which
Mm-hmm.
helps. The whisper fight at the before the party between the siblings was perfect. I kind of thought their whole sibling dynamic was exactly what I wanted it to be. And then they obviously got to add some stuff, on set too, right? Like I think just the whole thing exuded what I wanted it to exude. The breakdancing Tiny Tim, I was very delighted with. I could have just brought him back for every scene. Frankly, I thought he was so funny. It's normally when you watch it after you've written it, you can tell when something is exactly the way you wrote it, but then sometimes things are better. When they're different. Again, Brendan saying I'm gonna have to sell my boat is such a beautiful cap to that character that I didn't know we'd have the opportunity for. And when they had it, they took advantage of it, and it was perfect with the character, and just very nice kind of storytelling button there. So I like a lot of it. I think with time I'll be able to suss out what my favorite. It's a little easier with my older movies when I go back and like they're on TV and I'm like, do they hold up? And then I'll see bits and pieces where I'm like, oh yeah, we were humming with that one. So the passage of time will determine a lot of that.
You mentioned how some of these lines end up in there because of the actor or it just like happened in Brendan's case. When that does happen, which I feel like probably with this group of actors happened frequently in this movie, when you're watching that back, how is that for you? Like, is it just funny to see that they've taken these characters and just like added more to them or switched things up?
Yeah, I mean, I think that when you've got a really good cast like this one, then when the character, hopefully, knock on wood, if I do my job, then the character is strong enough that if they're going to add things to the mix, it's not just to like add a joke. It's to add a joke within what we know about the character. And Rob and I talked about that some also when coming up with it. Like we knew when we were doing, for instance, the scene where he's outside in front of the Ring camera, leaving the messages for Hope. I knew that he was gonna do some riffing. I knew so we want to like set them up with opportunities where if they want to add things for the button or whatever, that we're going to get the heart of the scene, that the characters are still built out. A lot of what he said in front of that Ring camera was in the script, right? But you want to present these really talented people sometimes with opportunities to add something that's within what we know about the character, hopefully. And again, when you've got Rob and Kim and Brendan and the whole cast here, I mean, like and when you've got like Jason, some of the other people involved who encourage, hey, let's milk this puppy for everything it's worth, right? Like, I mean, that's good. It's just good. It's a good idea.
So when you're writing Hallmark movies, there are some rules or guidelines more likely that you have to fit in. Is there one that you really love? And maybe is there a rule or guideline that you like to bend a little bit?
I don't know. The guidelines I think are pretty clear, right? It's got to be G-rated. There's got to be a ton of Christmas. They have to kiss, at some point, right? We got to have the romance. But beyond that, I don't know that. I don't really. There's no like mandate, right? Like what they want is a good movie. What they want is a good holiday rom-com story. And I'm happy to try to oblige. Again, like my idea of pushing to the edge of the sandbox, I like to try to make something feel like my own while also making it feel like Hallmark. And I know that the talent and cast and crew all like to sort of leave their own stamp on things as well. Again, it's good filmmaking, good storytelling, and I think that one of the things that makes Hallmark continue to sort of stay on top the way that it does is good when you have all the options in the world right now on streaming and everywhere else. More than anything, the important thing is quality, right? So you have to have a lot of conversation about not just what's going to deliver the Christmas, the romance. It's like, how are we going to make something that will make an audience want to watch, right? And continue to watch and hopefully rewatch again with family and friends. That just requires a good story and a good cast and crew and good production. So I really think the only requirement is make it good. Try your best to make it good. Maybe they don't always work. Some people might disagree with whether any of my movies are good or not. But like I try to make something that I would like to watch. Right. And again, that's worked out pretty well so far. Hopefully it continues to. We'll see.
I have no doubt. I think it will. But You know, you also on November 11th have Three Wisest Men coming
15th,
out.
I believe. The 15th.
Oh, 15th. Okay, sorry, I wrote
I
that
think it's
down
that
wrong.
Saturday. Yeah.
So tell us about writing. Now, this will be the third movie in this installment, and you came in the last movie. When you're writing something that the fans know these brothers now, and they feel very invested in their story. So it's different than writing, a new batch of characters. Tell us about your process going in to something like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's pressure there, right? Because when the audience knows the characters really well, obviously this is Paul and Kim's baby. They've come up with this great world, these great characters. I came in late on the second one. I didn't really get to write it with them back and forth, from the beginning as much. And I definitely felt that pressure. I'm sure they feel the pressure as well. Like once you create something that it belongs to the world, and then there are expectations that come with that, right? That's sort of the difficulty of sequels in general. I'd like to think we did a good job with the second one. I enjoyed how it turned out. Luckily, we got the opportunity to do a third, and this time around, they brought me in, from the beginning, very generously, and said, let's all three of us work on this thing together, end to end. They came up with, the story. We had like conversations again about what we thought would be interesting. They fleshed out the story. Then when it came time to write the script, we sort of divvied up scenes, passed back and forth, added jokes, added heart, the whole thing back and forth. They're very generous with their baby. I don't know that I would necessarily be as giving as they are if I had created something that was so successful, and I felt that pressure. Bringing in another person to help with that, I mean, I know is very good, and it shows the caliber of sort of artistry that Paul and Kim aspire to. But yeah, it was just a thrill to get to work with them. We laughed so much. I mean,
I can only
so much of it is pitching things that will try to make the other laugh. So the number of things that didn't make the movie that we thought were hilarious. I mean, the number of things I pitch, for specific characters that I know will be funny that we just don't have time for in a in a movie. I'll keep those in my back pocket. Maybe after the movie comes out, we can we can think about once people see what we have in store, right? Then maybe there can be discussion about like what more would you build if you had the opportunity. This will be the last movie, but like there's still like all this world that these characters had that we just won't have a chance to explore. But it's a really cool world. I'm very happy to be a small part of it.
How is it different when you go into the third movie of a series of movies like that than when you're starting out from the beginning?
Yeah, they've got to keep growing. They've got to keep changing, right? Like we're getting older. Everybody gets older. It's it's what happens to us. And the actors get older, the characters get older. So you want to find ways to tell the next chapter of their story. And again, I'm not going to say anything that is going to happen in the movie. We're going to keep those surprises, which we have plenty of. But I do think it's important to consider when writing a third movie. Okay, well, here's where they were in the first. Here's where they were in the second, right? Here's what we wanted to explore in the second. What's the next logical step? And again, a lot of our conversation is like, why make a third beyond, just getting people to watch it and doing something that people want? It's like, it's not just enough to do that. There has to be an angle to it. There has to be something that we want to convey with these characters. We want to tell. Paul and Kim had a bunch of great ideas about this, obviously, as they always do. So I'm really pleased. I haven't seen the end product yet, but I know the script. I'm really pleased with how the script turned out, and so I hope everyone will be as pleased as I had a blast working on it. So that's the most important part for me, honestly. That's the thing I can control, is how much fun I had, helping write the recipe, right? Like that's the thing I can control for sure. And it was so much fun working with Paul and Kim on this.
Yeah, it seems to me that if you all had such a great time writing it, that'll show, that'll come through.
The joy will exude through the screen. That's certainly the hope. That's certainly the hope. The sheer number of things that made us laugh. the more of those that make it in. And there's a lovely heart to this one as well, to like what the characters are going through that you'll discover with time. But it's cool. I'm excited for people to see it.
Yeah, sounds like lots of surprises as we follow along with the journey.
There always are with the Brenners, baby.
Brenners,
They're
yeah.
just they're a wild bunch. They're our family, It's
Right.
it's so cool. And again, like Paul and Kim, all credit to them to make something that resonates with people the way that this family does. I mean, that's so hard to do. That's so hard to do. It feels from the outside easy. It's not. It's the hardest thing. So, they should get to do whatever they want. They're so smart and thoughtful with their work.
Yeah.
Well, the fans are really counting down to watching your next movie. And also, Merry Christmas, Ted Cooper was our social media was, hopping with people commenting.
Yes.
And messaging.
Great. Yeah. I
favorite.
loved the feedback.
Yeah.
I was very, very pleased with the feedback. Again, you never, ever know. You can't possibly know. All you can do is just, make something that you think you would like, and then hope that the rest of the world agrees. And it seems like, from my social media feed, which again is a bit of a bubble, but the people who are at least reaching out, I haven't had any nasty emails sent to me about how terrible it was. I'll put it that way. I've had a lot of people reach out saying they really liked it. So that helps. that helps my esteem for sure.
Yeah, I do. I think it'll be one of the hits of this season. Absolutely.
Oh, that's great. That's great to hear.
Yeah. Okay, Russell, as we're wrapping this up, will you play a little holiday version of our favorites game with us?
Let's do it. I'm ready. All
right. Do you have a favorite holiday movie?
Muppet Christmas Carol. Yeah, which Kim is specifically in Merry Christmas, Ted Cooper, Michael Caine from Muppet Christmas Carol. She's got the scarf the Beaker gives at the end. Yes, correct. Yeah, that is I'm pretty sure that was in the script. I'd have to go back and think about it, but I'm pretty sure, because it's my favorite. I write it into everything. So many scripts that I do. I'm literally working on one now that also has Muppet Christmas Carol reference in it. Like, it will continue to get referenced in my movies. It's a good telltale sign that I might have worked on it if there's a shameless Muppet, a reference.
Well, if you've never seen it, you should watch it and then come back and watch Merry Christmas, Ted Cooper again so you can see the reference. Absolutely. Do you have a favorite holiday tradition?
Favorite holiday tradition? Honestly, not to repeat myself, but on Christmas Eve, we make chili and we watch Muppet Christmas Carol, which, always is a lovely, lovely way to spend the night before Christmas. Absolutely.
Love that. Okay, do you have a favorite Christmas movie cliche that you will never get tired of using in your scripts?
I don't know that it's a Christmas movie cliche, but it's one that like I think carries to any sort of family movie, which is, the reference point that I always use is Little Giants, where in the movie Little Giants, for those of a certain age who remember that movie, there's the character whose dad was never able to come to the games. And then in the final game, the dad who was never able to come to the games is there. And, he runs to his dad and hugs him. It's a very heartwarming moment. I like this idea in holiday movies, and I try to employ it on occasion of, people that just can't quite be there for a person, whether it's physically, whether it's emotionally, and that something about the holiday then creates that opportunity for, that openness and that embrace. We don't necessarily see it in the form of a football playing child, running down the field to hug his father. Metaphorically, maybe you do. That sort of that opening up that from a closed character, I think is something that I try to do in real life, or I try to be open, and I hope that we can all kind of aspire to, in these times and every time. So
I love that.
That's a great answer.
Yeah. And then do you have a favorite holiday song?
Holiday song. Hurry Home for Christmas by Robert Buckley is one that I don't remember how. I think I just found a Robert Buckley album at Goodwill, when I was a kid. I liked to go, digging in the crates, as they say, looking for albums. I thought I liked Robert Goulet from like old movies and from The Simpsons. And my dad loved listening to sort of like big band stuff, standards growing up. So I got it, and it's filled with like a few like original Christmas songs that you've, which is always like a bit of a dice roll. Normally maybe they're not that good, but Hurry Home for Christmas has that wonderful thing where it feels Christmassy. It's a little silly. It's a little bombastic. Um, it's very Robert Goulet. And at some point, my dad, because he was so delighted by it, would play it in the morning on Christmas Day when we were like coming out for our gifts and things. Yeah. He'd be blaring this silly, huge, Christmassy Robert Goulet song. And I kind of now just think it's great. Now I play it all the time at Christmas. Something about Robert Goulet and Christmas, man. I don't know. They're connected now.
It's magic for you. I love that.
It's magic. The magic of Robert Goulet. That's correct. Everybody should check out Hurry Home for Christmas by Robert Goulet. Imagine, your father blaring that at top volume, at first thing in the morning. Just picture that, and then you get a sense of why I am who I am today,
I feel like this needs to make it into one of your movies somehow.
God, if we can get the rights, maybe I need to, save my pennies and get the rights to this song so that we can use it, because man, that'd mean a lot to me and a lot to my family to have it in something. Maybe I'll find it one way or another, whether it's Hallmark or something else. I've got to find a way to put it into something.
Yeah, because, or even just the essence of it, so that it's there and your family knows it's there.
Sure, or just a long, protracted scene about Robert Goulet. A real, really relatable material for a younger audience to have a big Robert Goulet conversation. Sure, absolutely.
Well, you do a pop culture reference, you do a Robert Goulet reference, you're golden.
Yeah, a little Mark Harmon here, a little Robert Goulet here. These are for the older folks in the crowd.
Yeah, you gotta hit all the viewers, right?
Yeah, that's right. There's not a lot of Chapel Roan references in these things. Though there should be. I should reference Chapel Roan
at the party.
That would have been.
There should have been. She's great. I mean, I love her music. We'll see. Maybe I'll work Chapel Roan into a future movie.
We'll see. If you could get the both of them in there, it'd be perfect.
But... Chapel Roan and Robert Goulet.
Yeah,
why not?
There you go.
Yeah, together. Generational. It's perfect.
Well, Russell, this has been so fun. Thank you for joining us today and coming to talk about Merry Christmas, Ted Cooper, and Three Wisest Men. Wait, what is it? Wisest Men?
Three Wisest Men. That's correct. Right. It's like a Pokemon. They've evolved. They keep building. Yeah.
Catch them all.
That's why this has to be the last one. There's nothing more than Wisest. They're as wise as they can get.
We've been wiser.
What would we do next? Three most wisest men. Yeah. How would we build? I don't know.
I'm sure you could come up with something.
No. This is the end of this part of their journey. You'll see.
Yeah.
You'll see. No. Don't put that in my mouth. We're not gonna. This is a trilogy. We definitely wanted. We built it. We built this one specifically for that. You'll see. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, we can't wait to see on November 15th.
Yeah. Yes. Same.
Yeah. And thank you, everybody, for watching and listening. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we will see you next time. And thanks again, Russell.
At any time. Always happy to come.
Come back again.